excitement. It was my birthday, and the Pups had already blown up the balloons, decorated a truck-sized birthday cake, and wrapped my presents. They were secretly planning something special to do for me as I was checking my gears in the driveway. The four sat around the table and popped up with one idea after another. Finally, Dilly stood right up on her chair and she said that she had the most perfect idea in the whole world. An idea that perfect just had to be great. So everybody leaned in to hear what it was. Dilly was glowing. They were just going to love it. She waved her hand in the air. They would put on a surprise birthday play for me. Nobody said anything for a moment. Now, I have to say that everybody wanted to do the play, but Farrah was a little upset that the great idea had come from Dilly and not from her. He really wanted to be the one with the great idea. So she said no, she didn't want to do it. Dilly was really surprised, but then she turned to Tanker. Tanker told her he would only be in it if he was a star. Then he thought about it some more. Dilly was hopeful, but at last he said the story would need to be changed so that his part could be bigger. Smudge was very quiet. Then he said that it was a fabulous idea and he would love to help, but he wasn't too sure he'd be good at acting, though. I didn't know about any of this at the time, but I knew the Pups were up to something. Well, Smudge and Dilly set right to work. They put together some funny costumes and made a set. They would do the play in front of it. The play was going to be about a little truck who really needed a birthday party. It took place in a castle. Farrah told Dilly that that was just silly because there weren't any trucks when there were castles. But Dilly told her it was all just for fun. Farrah told her it was a dumb idea and left to draw a picture for me. Dilly was disappointed that almost no one liked her really excellent idea. But Smudge at that moment was having so much fun trying to make a costume that looked like a fire truck that Dilly smiled and joined in. It was at this time that the alarm rang. The Pups dropped everything and raced for me. We were all worried as we hurried down the street because the call came from Chuck Woodchuck's children. They were home alone and being chased by a big black monster. I told the Pups that there were no such things as monsters, and I have to admit that I went as fast as I could. If something was chasing them, it was up to us to find out what. When we arrived at Chuck's house, I have to admit that even I, an old truck, was afraid too. The children were in the house, and at their front door was a large black monster with no mouth. Now, I know there are no such things as monsters, but then what was that at the door? It had no mouth. It was waving its arms like a wild thing. The Pups didn't even have time to jump off me because I just pointed my hose at the monster's direction and sprayed. Now, I intended to spray the monster so hard that he would be washed away. But when the water hit him, he shrieked, and a strange thing happened. The water washed the black off, and underneath was Chuck. Through the window, the children couldn't believe their eyes. Nor could the Pups. Chuck couldn't believe that I would spray him, and in a moment, everybody, everywhere, in and out, was laughing. I was laughing so hard my headlights got foggy. It turns out that Chuck had been at Philippe's cleaning out his chimney, and he got covered in black soot. Soot is that dust that comes out of chimneys, and it's really dirty. And Chuck's family was happy to have their dad back again, and I was glad that the monster wasn't real. But in the back, the Pups were discussing how real Chuck had looked as a monster. And they talked about how, if it was a costume party, you'd have trouble guessing who he was. Tanker said he could act like a monster and everyone would believe him. And they all agreed that that would be fun. And then Farrah turned to Dilly and told her that it was just like her play. She said that now that she'd thought about it, the play sounded like a lot of fun. She wondered if there was a part for her. And Dilly was thrilled. She told him there was a part for everybody. As we arrived at the fire station, she added that they were going to love the costumes Smudge had made. Smudge and Dilly both giggled. Farrah was excited about the costumes. Dilly told Tanka that there was no extra big parts in her play, but she added that if he wanted to have a part, same as everybody else, then she would love to have him in the play too. They surprised me with this later out of my driveway. I enjoyed a truck-sized piece of chocolate cake, and I watched a wonderful play. But the story had changed. This time it was about a little truck that had saved all the children from a great, big, black, hairy monster. And I do have to say that there was a great deal of laughing and giggling going on during the play. That was fun, and just the way a birthday play should be. Everybody did their part well, and when it was all over, the pups asked Dilly to come forward. When she did, they clapped. After all, it was her idea. She made up the story and put the whole thing together. And I guess they figured out that every team needs a leader, and they really appreciated Dilly leading them in the play. And so did I. It brought me great pleasure to see them work so well together. And I know you and your friends would work well together, too, no matter whose idea you were enjoying.
Here's some things that are fun to do. Fun for the friends who play with you. Fun for a bunch, or just for two. Fun for me, and fun for you. Like making a chalk drawing together. Use your favorite colors to draw whatever you want. Of course, you have to make sure you only draw on the sidewalk. If you want to keep your picture.